What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and there's a new DLC for Age of Mythology, the fourth Greek god Demeter. Similar to Freya, the fourth Norse god, Demeter brings with her 3 new minor gods, 4 new god powers, 3 new myth units, unique technologies, and much more. This video will dive into it all. The first thing to dive into is going to be the boosted favor generation. Demeter allows you to position goats close to a temple to increase the favor gather rate of that temple. You can add up to 10 goats to a temple, and once you get to 10, you get approximately 30% favor boost. Every time you age up, you get an extra 3 goats in the classical age, you get an extra 3 pigs in the heroic age, and you get an extra 3 cows in the mythic age. I suggest putting your temple close to your town center. It might feel a little bit weird at first, but this allows you to continue to use the town center goat gathering hotkey, as well as leaving your goats and temple and favor gatherers in a very, very safe place. The next mechanic is that gold mines will boost building construction. And yes, the gold statues will also work. It appears to be approximately a 33% boost, so it's very well worth it to do this. As such, a very nice synergy with this is that the village centers. You can put a village center really close to a gold mine. It also has additional HP and attack, so this is part of the Demeter game plan to some degree. Finally, the farms can also have 2 villages gathering on them, giving you massive savings. The 3 new Greek minor gods, Pan, Hestia, and Persephone, bring with them 3 new myth units, and they all have one thing in common: disruption and deception. With Pan comes the Lycaon, which, for all intents and purposes, is an extra villager for Demeter's economy. It gathers food from herdables and hunt faster, so where possible, get them on your food sources. When they enter combat, they turn into a werewolf that can fight for you. Before their upgrade, the stats are a little underwhelming. However, if you do end up getting the upgrade, they're a real force that can help you take down town centers and enemy armies before setting up shop in the middle of the map on another hunt pack. The one big downside to this unit is that if it gets hit, it can't turn back into a villager before the upgrade comes in. So be extra careful in the early game. Another thing to keep in mind is that this villager is 3 population and shares the villager cap. So if you hit 100 villagers, you might be wasting some population with these guys sitting back gathering. So put them to work in your army and go make them fight. Replace them with regular villagers. Then comes the Hamadryad. This one comes from Hestia in the heroic age. On paper, this unit looks useless. In fact, I'd argue that without its upgrade, it is useless. But with the upgrade, this unit turns into a very nasty surprise for your opponent. You'll have to be a little bit sneaky with how you use this, as the tree does stick out a little bit like a sore thumb when in the middle of nowhere. But you can easily erase a pack of unsuspecting villagers or even an entire army when used correctly. Right now, I think the unit is very hard to use, as if you accidentally select it in tree form, it will move, so be careful. 10 seconds is a very, very long time to wait to set it back up to try and get that stun. The Siren is the Mythic Age Persephone myth unit and is the ultimate support unit. She can remove one of your opponent's big myth units or even lure in a siege weapon. The unique fortress unit to Demeter is the Harpy, a flying myth unit that can pick nearly anything up and drop them anywhere. And yes, no one knows how to swim in Age Mythology, so they will drown when dropped into a pond or similar. You can also drop them on forests or cliffs for a similar result. Next up, Demeter comes with 4 brand new heroes, and these guys are unique. The Archaic Age hero which would normally have a melee attack, now comes with a ranged attack. Actually quite similar to the priest or pharaoh of Egypt. A little bit of an unknown fact about these units, or a little known fact about these units, is they actually come stock with ballistics. It does pierce damage instead of divine, however, and Orpheus also is able to empower up to 10 human units, giving them a 5x bonus versus myth units. Now, if he dies, these units will immediately lose that bonus, so focus him down if you want to use myth units versus Demeter. The classical age hero is Iolaus, a quick chariot riding melee hero. It's incredibly solid at raiding in the early game and is a nice help for the classical age. The heroic age hero is Icarus, the man who flew too close to the sun. He has a ranged area of effect auto attack that rains fire from the skies. He is without doubt the core of any Demeter army. Once you hit the heroic age, you must include this unit. He's great at raiding, he's great at killing off myth units, he's also great at taking out enemy archers, and for the very micro-intensive players out there, if he starts getting focus fired, he's incredibly good at dodging arrows. Finally, the mythic hero is Lord Midas. Now, normally the Greeks have a superhero of sorts in the Mythic Age, but I think that the developers have flipped the script a little bit, and the heroes Orpheus and Icarus are the powerhouse heroes, and Lord Midas is actually more of that support hero. His special ability can turn units into gold statues when killed. You can then either eat them with your Colossus, or build around them quickly with your building bonus, or just sit there and marvel at the gold statue on the battlefield. 4 new god powers come with Demeter as well. Demeter's god power, Wither, is on the surface a very simple god power that doesn't really do much more than annoy an opponent early game. However, the deeper you get, the more utility you find. The Wither slows down enemy units, so it is perfect to use in combination with a raid to make sure they don't get away. You can open up your opponent's base in an instant, deliver some more brutal raids. And most importantly, you can disable your own or your opponent's Arcadian Meadow. Speaking of which, the Arcadian Meadow comes with Pan in the Classical Age and disables all combat on top of the area from both units and buildings. The interesting quirk is that if something isn't standing on top of it, it can shoot into the meadow. Some really strong usages of this is to basically drop it on your opponent's enemy town center and just raid them there. Or you can put it onto a fortress or watchtowers like that, and you can charge into for an attack and sort of ignore your opponent's defenses. The Heroic Age power is Hestia's Hearth. This god power has the potential to be near impossible to push through, but does die pretty quickly. At its core, it's a support god power. It needs an army around it to function, but boy, does it function well. It can steal enemy human units and myth units. Enemy can see an indicator on which unit has been targeted and pull it out of range if they're quick enough. So the really, really good players who are paying attention might be able to circumvent this god power with solid play. And finally, Persephone's Mythic Age god power is an Underworld Invasion, an absolutely crazy god power reminiscent of Ragnarok itself. Only this time, instead of your economy getting cut down, your population does, as your town centers are destroyed and become unbuildable until the god power runs out. Perhaps an oversight by the developers, or perhaps intended, you can actually manually delete all but one of your town centers and use this god power, allowing you to immediately rebuild them. So keep that in the back of your mind for now. Finally, the new technology is unique to Demeter. Demeter gets an interesting technology similar to Wheelbarrow from Age of Empires 2 and other. It increases the carry capacity of villagers by 5, but also adds healing when you drop off resources. It's a really cool technology to help you play the defensive game. Unfortunately, this is in the town center and takes 40 seconds to research. It's a very, very big hit to your economy in the early game if you choose to pick this one up. I recommend grabbing it much later or from a village center, as that's going to be less of a hit to your economy. Pan's unique technologies are Thorned Walls, a technology which turns your walls into damage-dealing machines. On the surface, this might not look too menacing, but for the turtlers out there who know how to use walls, this might be game over for pesky Norse raiders. Repairing the walls your opponent is attacking is going to be a very valid strategy, allowing you to almost skip building military entirely in the early game. Pan's Pioneers is a simple technology. Buy this one before you get the second town center built, and you get a big villager boost. It only gives one werewolf on the villager center, unfortunately. Perhaps the developers were scared people would spam too many village centers for too much value. Finally, Predatory Instinct is your unique upgrade for the Lycaon. It adds 2 to every damage type for the werewolf. That's Hack, Pierce, Divine, and Crush. It also increases their speed and enables them to transform at will. Hestia's unique technologies are Gracious Hospitality. This technology gives town centers an additional 5 population per farm attached to it, up to a maximum of 2 farms per town center. This technology is, without a doubt in my mind, the strongest technology in the game right now. In an equal game, you can get plus 30 population over your opponent. Time will tell if these numbers are valid or not, so we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. Hallowed Woodlands is the unique technology for the Hamadryad, which allows them to use their special ability. This is a must grab if you want to use the Hamadryad, but it is pricey. Now, if you do manage to pull off this unit, it's an incredible unit, and it's well worth it to give it a go. Lastly, Faded Arrows is another incredibly strong technology, which boosts the Toxotes damage by an effective 50% if all 3 nearby enemies take damage from the ricochet. Toxotes are a must for the Demeter army when going through Hestia. Persephone's unique technologies are Sacred Land, when your farms will now be able to heal units. This technology is a little underwhelming on the surface. The best use for it that I can think of is to keep your high-costed units like King Midas healthy after a battle or during a battle. Micro him away, chuck him on a farm, have him chill for a little bit, heal him back up. Enchanted Hymn boosts the sirens to do more damage and lure the target unit in faster. I'm not sure this technology is super important to rush out, but if you do intend to use the sirens, grabbing this at some point will be well worth it. The final technology for Persephone and Demeter is Pious Sacrifice. Unfortunately, this technology isn't functioning correctly at the moment, but on paper, it is absolutely terrifying. Depending on the range that this works at, your army might start working at double the attack speed, an effective 100% damage boost. Like I said, this one doesn't appear to be working, but I do hope that I'm wrong about how much power this adds because it sounds crazy. My final thoughts here is that the potential for Demeter is off the charts. And there's lots going on inside of her. Each of the new minor gods and goddesses bring with them support myth units. Not really any frontline brutes to just throw into your army and attack move. As such, I recommend you pick one of the original minor gods while playing Demeter, whether that be Ares for the Cyclops, Aphrodite for the Nemean Lion, or Hephaestus for the Colossus, and use those to thicken out your army. To be brutally honest, I think she needs a quality of life update. A lot of these units are a little too clunky to be used in a high energy, sweaty, competitive RTS game. But there's a lot of potential for this god to have a lot of fun moments. I'm sure the developers are watching, and I'm sure they're going to fix these problems up very, very quickly. Next up for Age of Mythology is the Aztecs, and I can't wait. See you in the next one.